Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to a deep dive into a stack of sources centered around Richmond Advisory Group
Yes,
and, well, through their expert lens, the fast-moving world of cybersecurity.
that's right. We've got stuff from their main websites. We've dug through their blogs and articles, checked out their podcast page, and even grabbed insights from a YouTube video transcript covering a recent expo.
So our mission today, it's really to give you a quick but genuinely informed understanding of what Richmond Advisory Group is all about.
Yeah, what kind of insights they offer, and maybe most importantly, what major cybersecurity topics and trends are popping up in their recent material.
Exactly. Think of it as getting a focused download straight from industry analysts who, live and breathe this market every day.
It's a great way to tap into that analyst perspective, the folks who actually spend their time making sense of all this complexity and spotting the trends.
So first things first, who is Richmond Advisory Group? Based on these sources, they frame themselves as a cybersecurity products and services market research analysis.
An advisory firm, and they've been doing it for, what, over 2 decades now?
Yeah, quite a while. The key people highlighted, the names that keep coming up, are founder and principal analyst Christina Richmond.
And principal analyst Rory Duncan.
And their sweet spot, their real specialization, seems to be getting a handle on the very latest cybersecurity market trends.
Right. They gather insights through both anecdotal chats and actual number-crunching quantitative research.
And then they use that mix to give strategic guidance. It makes sense, when you see that quote from John Shende.
Oh, yeah, the board member at Myveda.
Right. He praised Christina's ability to understand complex environments and present a clear strategic vision. That kind of clarity is exactly what you'd want, right?
Absolutely. If you're trying to navigate cybersecurity challenges, that's the kind of insight you need.
Now, if you're an organization in this space, maybe a vendor, and you're looking to connect with analysts like RJ.
The sources lay out a few clear ways to do that.
Okay, so the first one, and they call it a great starting point, is just giving them a briefing.
Especially if you're new to the whole analyst briefing game.
Yeah, exactly. They welcome companies doing this up to twice a year, even without a subscription.
And the goal there is pretty straightforward, isn't it? Just for Ray to figure out where your product or service fits in the bigger picture.
Yep. Then, building on that, there's the annual subscription.
Right. So this keeps your company on their radar more consistently.
And it gives you a regular rhythm for things like testing your messaging, getting advice on your portfolio.
Plus access to their big annual research project, which is just for subscribers.
And then the third option is custom work for more specific needs.
And this is open to subscribers and non-subscribers alike.
Right. So this could be anything from, say, a full day or half-day strategy session to having them write thought leadership pieces for you, like white papers or blogs.
Or even commissioning totally custom research or getting them to speak at events.
Yeah, like your sales kickoff or maybe an advisory board meeting.
So basically options all the way from just getting known to a really deep ongoing partnership.
Okay, so that covers who they are and how you might engage with them. But what about the insights themselves? The actual intelligence?
Let's dive into the content they've been putting out.
Where can you find it? Well, there's the blogs and articles section on their site, their podcast, which, like this deep dive, is on all the usual platforms, Spotify, Apple, etc.
And their YouTube channel, too.
And looking at that recent content, some pretty big industry news definitely jumps out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That article titled, Gee Whiz, Google's 32B Whiz acquisition. I mean, that headline alone.
Right. What's really interesting in Rory Duncan and Christina Richmond's take here isn't just the, massive price tag.
No.
Well, yeah, that's huge. But the surprise element was apparently because Wiz had actually rejected an offer from Google earlier in 2024.
Oh, really? I missed that detail. So it wasn't just the timing, but the fact that Wiz changed course?
Exactly. They went from planning this much heralded IPO to deciding to be acquired instead.
Huh. And Ori chalks that up to the bigger picture.
Yeah, largely the current macroeconomic climate and market uncertainty. That context is key, shows how wider economic stuff is hitting even the biggest cybersecurity deals.
Okay, interesting. And there was another big acquisition they covered, Level Blue.
Level Blue acquiring Aon's cybersecurity and IP litigation consulting groups.
Which included Stroser Friedberg, right? Pretty well-known name.
Yeah, Stross Friedberg and also Elysium Digital.
And Level Blue, they're described as a leader in cloud-based AI-driven managed security services, an MSSP.
Exactly. So buying up consulting expertise like Stross Friedberg, it really bolsters their ability to offer broader security services.
Makes sense. It suggests they're like pulling that strategic advice and incident response capability right into their managed offering.
Yeah, integrating it all.
Okay, so moving beyond the big M&A news, the sources also give us some useful little snapshots from recent industry events.
Right, like RREG shared some profiles of companies they met with just after the RSA Conference 2025.
Did they name names?
Yeah, they specifically mentioned meeting with Red Seal and Safe Breach during RSAC.
Okay. And then there was that summary from the Cloud and Cyber Expo 2025 in London. That was from their YouTube channel.
Yep. And the big takeaway there was just how busy it was. People were apparently flocking to the event.
Sounds crowded. And the cyber section.
They said it was pretty big, saw the vendors you'd expect.
Usual EDR and MDR player.
Exactly. Endpoint detection and response, managed detection and response, all the acronyms.
Well, yeah. But they also picked up on some focus shifts.
Seems like it. There were more discussions around cyber defense, and specifically they noted suppliers who usually work with defense and government, possibly looking to tweak their stuff for the regular enterprise market. And they saw dark web monitoring tools, too.
Okay, but what really stood out from that expo summary, I thought, was the comment about AI.
Oh, yeah, that there was much less about AI than I would have expected.
Yeah. That's surprising, isn't it? Given AI is, like, everywhere else.
It really is. RG's guess was that maybe some of the generative AI stuff has just been sort of absorbed into the solutions.
Ah, okay. So maybe AI is becoming less of a standalone buzzword and more just a feature baked into security tools now.
Could be. That would definitely mark an evolution in the market.
Makes sense. Now, looking across their other blogs and articles, you see this consistent focus on broader market trends and, the ongoing challenges.
Definitely. There was one piece about the evolution of API security that caught my eye.
What was their take?
Well, RG's view is that the future isn't just about spotting API threats better, but about deeper integration with business processes and development workflows.
So security needs to be part of how APIs are built and used, not just an afterthought.
Exactly. They argue API security is becoming a critical enabler of business success. It has to be integrated right from the start in the DevSecOps pipeline.
Okay. And if you zoom out a bit, that focus on integration seems to line up with another trend they highlight.
Yeah.
The big move towards managed security services.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Multiple articles noted that managed services are expected to be the largest and fastest growing bit of the security market in the next, 6 months.
Wow. Largest and fastest growing. Why the surge?
It's driven by heightened customer demand amidst rising security concerns. Basically, threats are getting nastier and more frequent.
So organizations are increasingly saying, okay, let's bring in the experts to handle this.
Pretty much. It makes sense for a lot of companies.
Thinking about the big picture themes RGCs.
Yeah.
I remember one article reflecting on 2023 and looking forward mentioned a few key things.
Yeah, the lowdown piece. It hit on security by design.
Right, building it in early.
The ongoing consolidation of tools as vendors merge or acquire.
Still happening.
Increasingly automated vulnerability management, the security implications of 5G adoption, and just generally more prominent software security worries.
So these are really the persistent headaches and strategic shifts the whole industry is dealing with.
Yep, the long-term currents.
They also zoom in on specific pain points, like insider risk.
There was an article asking what's holding organizations back from managing that properly.
And the point was
that so much news focuses on the big, flashy external attacks, pipeline hacks, huge ransomware hits.
that the internal threat might get overlooked.
Exactly. It highlights a potential blind spot if everyone's only looking outwards.
Related to managing risk, there was another piece mentioning IDC's view, something about trust.
Yeah, that enterprises cannot build trust without solid risk management. It was making the case for things like crowdsourced risk management.
Like bug bounties and vulnerability disclosure programs.
Right. Using the community to help find flaws, which ultimately builds trust in your security posture.
Got it. And operationally, they also touched on running a security operations center, a SOC, especially hybrid ones.
The article just flat out said there are too many challenges.
I bet that resonates with a lot of security teams. Alert fatigue, too many tools, staffing.
All of the above.
And finally, just to show the range, they even had some practical advice, like a piece on choosing the best password managers.
Yeah, grounding it in that classic idea that humans can only remember about 7 numbers.
Like Miller's Law.
And positioning password managers as just a basic fundamental tool you need to stay secure online, especially with all these complex threats floating around.
So it shows their analysis really spans from those high-level market shifts down to essential security hygiene for everyone.
Exactly, a broad view.
So bringing all these different threads together, what does this mean for you, the listener? Well, by digging into these specific sources from Richmond Advisory Group.
Looking at their analysis of major acquisitions like Google Wiz, their fly-on-the-wall observations from events like the Cloud and Cyber Expo,
And their ongoing commentary on market trends like API security or managed services, and those persistent challenges like insider risk.
you really get a potent, focused snapshot of the key movements and, frankly, the key pain points in cybersecurity right now.
Understanding these analyst viewpoints straight from their own material, it just helps you navigate this incredibly complex field that's changing so fast.
Yeah, it gives you insight into what the experts are actually focusing on, what they're advising clients, and, crucially, what they see coming down the pike.
Exactly. So this deep dive, it's like that shortcut. Helps you get up to speed quickly on what these particular analysts are tracking and highlighting as important.
So we've journeyed through RA's world a bit, their structure, how to engage, the big deals they're watching,
Google Wiz, Level Blue Strauss Friedberg.
their event takeaways from London, the broader themes like API evolution, managed services growth, insider risk.
It really paints a picture built directly from the sources we looked at.
Right. And, thinking about some of those points, like RAG's view that API security's future is deep integration into business workflows, and then combining that with the huge growth they see coming in managed security services.
It does make you pause and think, doesn't it? If more of your core business processes start depending on these external managed API connections,
Yeah.
well, what new kinds of insider risk might pop up? Maybe risk tied to the people managing those external connections for you. A different kind of insider.
That's actually a really interesting question to chew on as the market keeps shifting.
Connection terminated.